understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
When I eat a brain, I get visions.
Don't ever come back to Gotham.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DCTV report for the week ending Saturday, October 7th, 2017. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I am Sara, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And we had 2 new episodes this week, one of them a premiere, and I gotta be honest, I'm a little nervous about being able to keep my comments down enough to get to 2 whole episodes, so
yes, 2.
Yeah.
Well, we got 4 more new shows next week, so
this is good practice. It's good practice at self-editing.
yeah.
Let it be known that I believe Ed is recording this podcast from a room where there is a tuxedo tailored to his body hanging, but he refused to put it on for our first ever black tie DCTV report. So, think about what could have been. I was going to bust out my prom dress from 1990. It would have been really special, but
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I picked it up on my way home from work today, and I was supposed to get it yesterday because I had I'd taken a day off from work, and I got there, and evidently they forgot to order pants for me.
Which would have been an interesting addition to the wedding party. It would have been talked about. You probably would have gone viral on YouTube, honestly.
Yeah, that would have been awkward. But yeah, no, it's all there now. My sister is the day that this episode is going to drop, day before Columbus Day. My sister will be getting married, and I am a groomsman. So my brother's in town from Hawaii, and we're just trying to figure out security, all the things that brothers are supposed to do.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wait, security like keeping out exes who might try to storm the reception?
Well, just any type of riffraff, anyone with weird looks. I mean, you never know who's going to show up to try to ruin a party. We just try to plan for all contingencies.
This is true.
Yes.
This is true. And I guess really in our hearts, every episode of the DCTV report is a black tie event. So,
Yeah. I just saw Ingrid Goes West a few weeks ago, and I want to be ready for anything. All right. So you want to jump right into it?
Yeah, let's do it. So we, on Monday, had the premiere of Season 3 of Lucifer.
Yes. Lucifer on Fox. Getting all the Fox show away. So, okay, so I'm going to go through, I counted 4 major storylines, which were, first off, Lucy found himself in the desert with wings and without his devil face.
Very upsetting.
Yes. Then a hotel owner was found dead next to where Lucifer was dropped off. Lieutenant Marcus Pierce, played by Tom Welling of Smallville fame, took charge.
Welcome back to TV.
Yeah, took charge. He is not impressed with our heroes. And lastly, Amenadiel still had no powers, but talked with Ella and found faith. And our last-minute reveal was Lucifer and Chloe found poor Sam dead, and Lucifer wondered who the Sinner Man is and what he wants. So, where to start?
Shall we start with the wing situation?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's how we left Lucifer, was in the desert, confused, sunburned, and sporting a rather impressive set of wings. So he doesn't quite know, he doesn't know where they came from. He's furious that they're back. He thinks it is punishment from God for exercising his free will. And his drive in this whole episode is basically to find out, why did God give him the wings? But of course he learns that it wasn't God who gave him the wings at all, and he thinks it's this mysterious Sinner Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is Cinnamon who we find out. And it's interesting because he does cut off the wings at one point, and then they just grow back.
Which infuriates him. And he tries to get Dr. Linda to help cut off his wings, and she says absolutely not. They didn't teach wingectomies in medical school. And also, frankly, the last time she got involved in a celestial family drama, it ended really badly for her. So she wants no part of it. She wants him to think twice before he does this. He does it anyway, which I'm kind of glad that they're back, because if this whole season is nothing but Lucifer bumping into doorways with his wings and knocking over pieces of art and bottles of liquor, I'm going to be so excited. Every time his wings get in the way of something and he clearly has miscalculated his size and his mass and his breadth, he gets so irritated. I love it. So maybe just once an episode, if he could have some kind of hijinks, he dips his wings in the entree. I'm saying this could be really great.
Yeah, and I think, okay, the whole thing with his face, the only time he really tried to show his face was when he was with Chloe.
And that was an effective scene, I thought. He finally sits her down to tell her the truth, and he sincerely wants to, and he can't, and she leaves so hurt that he's playing games, and he feels awful. But are you thinking that maybe that was too emotional a situation for us to... Does he need to do more tests with his demon face?
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think that scene worked fine, and from what we've been reading lately, that's going to be a common theme throughout this season, is him about to tell her and not being able to, or her just not believing. And but the thing I'm interested to see is, I don't know, because we know when he's around Chloe, his powers are diminished.
Oh, that's a good point.
So I'm wondering if he was never able, he just never tried pulling that face around her, and that's why it didn't work, or if it is a side effect of getting his wings back and whatever his father has done to him.
Huh. I feel like that's probably, is that a step deeper than the shows? Well, I don't know. This is not a show that I would accuse of being shallow, for all that it's a slick LA crime, Hollywood's so crazy kind of show. I think it goes pretty deep in its mythology and its motivations like that. So I could see that being something that they think about. Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he should try it out on poor Dr. Linda.
Yeah.
Who I wanted just a little bit more of this week and every week. And I also missed Maze, just for the record.
Yeah.
She's the actress is off on maternity leave, and we wish her a happy baby and all that, but come back, Maze.
Oh, that was it? Okay.
Oh yeah. She had a baby. I'm not quite sure when, but she's gonna be back. I just think she's missing a couple of these first episodes. I'm not sure how long it's gonna be, but she's off with baby. Okay.
And also we got well, it's funny because Dr. Linda was really just in that one scene. And Maze wasn't here at all, but Ella, I think they've been pushing her into the forefront a little bit more.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a good idea. I think that she's getting a little flighty.
Yeah, this week with the casket for the crime scene squirrel victim, and it's a little precious.
Yeah, it's a little much. And it seems a little. I mean, it's kind of in step with what she's done before, but it seems like they're taking it a little farther than they usually do.
Yeah, it was interesting that she met Amenadiel this week, and they hadn't met before. And I do like that she took the opportunity to grope his biceps because, I mean, fair play. But I thought that scene that they had where she's so perky and she's so sunny, and he is so dour and serious, but they worked kind of, as she's talking about, you got to trust God's plan, you've got to have faith, and that really works on him, which I thought was a nice way for him to sort of jumpstart that. He doesn't have his powers back, he didn't get his wings back, he's upset about what happened to their mother, he's upset that Lucifer didn't confide in him about the wings, but he looks at Lucifer's return of wings, loss of devil face as proof that God will forgive anybody. So I thought that was nicely done. I also kind of think Ella's interesting. She's an interesting example of Christianity in mainstream television. I feel like a lot of times, you kind of, it's the butt of a joke, or it's the secret bad guy, or it's the hypocrite, and she's just this like pure Christian, but she has all these other interests, and I don't know, she's a different type of character, which I appreciate. It's kind of fun to see them playing against type like that she's kind of worldly, but she also wears the cross, and I don't know, I enjoy that aspect of Lucifer.
Yeah, and what's interesting is speaking as a Catholic myself, someone who was raised Catholic, that's the way I've always felt about the religion. It's something that you don't put upon people, but it works for you. It works for me. And and that's why I hold on to it, and that's where I find my faith, and I see a lot of that. It's a unique representation, but it's one that I think is very true to that religion and to that faith.
And respectful in a way that it isn't always. And it's kind of funny that it comes on a show called Lucifer, that you find this really respectful approach to it. So TV and theology with Ed and Sara this week. Yeah.
Now, okay. Now, all right, let's just talk about Tom Welling.
Oh, let's talk about Tom Welling. What did you think about his character, Lieutenant Marcus Pierce?
I was really surprised at how forward he was.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like that football coach who just walks in the first day of training camp and goes, "Hey, listen, I've been watching the tapes, and 2 weeks from now, most of you aren't going to be here anymore." Like he's calling, they've been getting lazy the last 2 seasons, and he's calling them on their shit.
And I think it did. He also called him on things the show has kind of, Dan was a dirty cop, and I guess we're all okay with that. And he calls him on it. He really, it was a nice way also, if people are jumping in season 3, you get a really quick snapshot of all these characters. So it's, hey, if you're listening and you don't watch the show, now is the time. Why would you be listening to this segment if you don't watch the show? Whatever. Now's the time to jump in. But it was hard for me to make that transition because I truly have not seen him on TV since he was Clark Kent. And he was such a whiny, naive teenager in Smallville, and to see him go to this sort of competent, brusque, like you say, call it like it is, just this is who I am, this is what we do, I'm not going to apologize for that. It was such a transition for me. It took me well into the episode before I was like, okay, this is Tom Welling, the grown-up. I will allow this. I don't know. I think he's going to be interesting to add to the mix around the police department. Now, let me ask you this. Chloe got all flustered every time she talked to him, and she ended up kind of babbling. Why do you think that is? Is it just trying to impress the boss? Is she actually, I know that there's been talk about possible love interest. Do you think that's her attraction coming out? What's your diagnosis?
Yeah, I think it's just nerves. I think it's just kind of like, this is my new boss, and I just don't want to look bad in front of him.
And then everything she says makes her look ridiculous.
Yeah. I love how she quibbles over whether or not Lucifer is her partner or if she's his or whatever. It just seems like a petty squabble. But it's weird because like I could see her falling for him right now. I'm very interested to see, like, if they are going to be love interests, how he falls for her, because he seems to have no interest in anyone on the show at this point.
That's truly kind of low-key disdain for everybody. I loved him and Lucifer facing off, though. He doesn't shake Lucifer's hand because of all the sex partners. Calls Lucifer narcissistic and hedonistic, and Lucifer's just like, well, thank you. I loved that interplay is going to be so, you've got glib, slide off my back Lucifer, and then you've got Marcus, who's this... I think he described his character as a disruptor in interviews that he's done. There was a little bit of a swagger to both of them. Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah. Very, very, very rugged. I like the flannel.
Yes. Well, and also, he came in, he was holding the motorcycle helmet. So they're giving us little character markers without having to be like, he drives a motorcycle. Here he is getting on it. It's just little touches like that sort of paint the man for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then remember, this show is a procedural, so there was actually a mystery to solve.
Oh, that thing. I like that they didn't spend a lot of time on it. but you have the guy who's found dead in the desert, and it turns out it's not Lucifer's fault exactly, but a pair of hotel owners had been in an escalating prank war, and one of them hired a fake kidnapping group to kidnap the guy who ended up dead. And the reason he ended up dead is because he'd been stashed in a hidey hole in the desert, and when the kidnapping unit was also hired to kidnap Lucifer, they took him out to the desert to swap him out for the hotel owner. But when the guy opened the van door, he found Lucifer there with his wings and freaked out so much he just ran. So it's kind of interesting. It's really a tragic accident. Like, okay, fake kidnappings are bad, but that went wrong, and it wasn't Lucifer's fault. I mean, the kidnapper's fault, yes, but it just was one of the sadder situations, I thought, because it wasn't. And then, of course, that guy was hired to kidnap Lucifer by the Sinner Man, and when he didn't follow through, the Sinner Man punished him rather harshly with rebar.
Yeah. That was grisly.
Yeah. What a great introduction for the Sinner Man, who I don't know, is this a comic character, Ed, that you were familiar with?
You know what? I'm not familiar. I mean, I've read Lucifer's, because Lucifer actually started as a side character in Neil Gaiman's Sandman run, and I've read his early appearances there. I've never actually read Lucifer's book proper. I tried reading a trade of the new one, but there was a lot of sub references to stuff from the early 90s. So I'm not exactly familiar with with his comic book rogues gallery, but but to be honest, the way this show is structured, really the basic premise of Lucifer leaving hell and coming to earth is pretty much the only thing that stays true. Like, there's no procedural. He doesn't befriend cops at all. It's just him on Earth. So, I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't a character from the comics. If you know, please let us know.
Drop us a line.
DCTV@wickedtheory.com. Because right now I'm too lazy to look it up on Google because I'm afraid.
And you'll hear my tappa if I do, so we'll just blow past that. What I like about the Sinner Man, which for the record is one word, not two, apparently, as I was spelling it two words, but the interwebs tell me it's one, for those who like to know these things. If he is a supernatural player, which seems to be the case because he is the one who apparently turned Lucifer from a devil to an angel, took his face, gave him wings. He exercises then a lot of supernatural power, but he seems to also have earthly power because he's this big crime boss. He was able to have this poor kidnapper killed rather horrifically. So someone who has that kind of power on both levels could be a very cool addition to the show.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It could be another fallen angel. It could be someone else. It could be another demon from Lucifer's past.
This feels like a great transition into the news portion. Did you have more to say about the episode?
I mean, just kind of. I think the way this episode opened, with the whole thing of him just hitchhiking with the armored trucker,
who we had seen in the season 2 premiere, same guy. So I just love that.
Yeah,
that was a nice little wink for fans. That we're gonna strip this guy down to his skivvies yet again for your entertainment.
Yeah, and it turned out that he had stolen the truck, and Lucifer was just covered for him. I thought that was a great way to open the season. You hadn't seen the show before. That was just a great introduction to Lucifer's style. And what you can expect from that character. I think we covered all the basics. So let's jump into the news. What do we got?
So the first is an EW article, interview with Tom Welling, where he talks about the casting process and how he agreed to be on Lucifer with very little turnaround. He kind of read the script and was on set like a week later, and he liked it so much he said not 10 episodes, but he'd like to be in 15 episodes. So he really is all in on Lucifer this season. And this quote I thought was interesting, talking about his character Marcus. He's definitely somebody that Lucifer is going to realize is maybe older than Lucifer, if that makes any sense. It's not God, he's not God, but he's very much on par, if not greater, than what Lucifer is. which...
Oh, he's the Sinnerman.
Well, no, that's what I thought too. I thought, oh, okay, so Marcus is the Sinnerman. I mean, this is what he's saying about his own character, Marcus, the new police lieutenant. But then TV Line, just today, I think, announced the casting of an actor to play the Sinnerman, and that actor is Kevin Carroll from The Leftovers. If you have seen The Leftovers, he's the man in the Miracle Town in season 2, and if you have seen The Leftovers and that character, you know that's going to be great, because he plays Menace so well. So it says that he is going to be introduced, the Sinnerman, this particular actor, in episode 6, and that he's going to have history with Marcus Pierce. So... I don't know what to make of all of that.
Okay, so then the Sinnerman is some type of fallen angel. And my guess is that, and this is total speculation on my part, is that Marcus Pierce is either like Gabriel or Michael, like an archangel, who's just kind of like coming down to give Lucifer an amenity. What for?
Yeah.
Just and just kind of like, stop it, just knock it off, just go home. Go home. It's time.
Like rolled up the newspaper and whack them on the nose like dogs.
Yeah. Just that older brother who's just finally going to step in. Hey, get your shit together. Let's go.
I guess this is a show that really sticks. I'm trying to go back through my memory here. It really sticks with angels and demons, right? It's not like we have vampires running around, or we have, other types of supernatural beings. So it kind of makes sense that we don't have that many choices. You're either heavenly or demonic, and that's kind of your two realms there. But the backstories, and like you say, some of that baked in, is it an archangel? Is it somebody from mythology that people are going to know? So, but I did think Marcus Pierce having a deeper backstory surprised me. I truly thought he would just be hard-ass lieutenant who comes in and falls for Chloe and vice versa, but apparently it's going to be more than that. So we shall see.
We shall see.
And if you are interested in a longer take on this, I should say I recapped the Lucifer pilot for EW.com. You can find it at, EW.com or on my Twitter. I definitely tweeted the link, so check that out if you'd like to read more Lucifer.
Yeah, and please do check that out. Okay, I think that does it for Lucifer. So I guess now it's on to Gotham.
Yes, I feel like we're crossing countries here. So LA, Lucifer, and then we fly to the East Coast for Gotham.
Yeah. Well, I read the recap for this one for Lucifer. You want to read the recap for this one?
Absolutely. So, Gotham this week, we have Jim heading down south to convince Carmine to come home. And he ended up bringing back Carmine's daughter, Sophia. Ed gets busted out of his icicle by Myrtle, who ends up playing misery with him, and we do mean the Stephen King kind of misery. And Bruce and Alfred look into Selina's attempted robbery of a fancy knife, and they end up getting into a bidding war. I would say the best bidding war I've ever seen, with Babs over it. And the last-minute reveal, Ra's al Ghul resurrected Babs. Not a big surprise, we kind of knew that. He funded her, but perhaps the bigger surprise, he kisses her. Ooh. Rather familiarly. This is not probably the first time this has happened. So, reveal. All right, so that's Gotham.
So what did you think of Myrtle?
Honestly, I'm sad that she apparently is going to be a one-episode character. I quite enjoyed her. She was very much from the misery character vein.
Kathy
why
Bates.
am I blanking on her? Well, yeah, the actress. I couldn't remember the character name. Oh. Anyway, very much in the misery style of obsessed fan. They went to high school together. She remembered everything about him. He remembered nothing about her. She made a Riddlerette costume. I really enjoyed her, and I was sad to see her end so quickly. She had that level of off-kilter quirk that I think so many of the fun Gotham characters do. I quite enjoyed that she planned and executed this great rescue plan, and what thanks does she get? She gets a Victor Zsasz bullet to the face. Honestly, no respect.
Well, we did not see the body with the bullet in the head, so. She's probably dead.
That's true. She feels like somebody who isn't probably important enough to resurrect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true. I mean, unless you show me the body.
Yeah. I the one thing I think it's funny to think of is that Riddler has groupies, And
I know. She had the whole wall of crazy just devoted to him.
Yeah.
There is not a single subplot this week that I didn't thoroughly enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
All of them I thought were really just funny, sharp, interesting. Yeah. And that was definitely one of them.
Yeah, and I think it was also very interesting to see that someone so nerdy and unusual was actually the object of someone else's crush for a change. And I wonder if she had made her feelings known in grammar school, if their lives would have turned out different.
Oh, that's really sad. Their hands brush over the algebra textbook, and he actually grows up to be a happy, contented Edward, and they get married, and he's just workaday, 9-to-5 average Joe. That would have been, aw.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like weird that Myrtle's probably been holding this for I guess since they were 8.
Yes.
And, she just never moved on. Just, the whole idea of the way psychosis works and she's got the stalker wall, she made up that costume. It's, this is another thing where any other show, this would seem really stupid and out of left field, but somehow with Gotham, it's par for the course.
It's perfect. I also adored as she's asking him riddles and he's just coming up with the worst possible answers for them. Oh man, really funny. And also just a very great way of showing this is not an okay man. This is not a well brain that we're dealing with. But
yeah, and he ends up escaping, but he's kind of fumbling through and he's not well. Just his brain is still getting used to the world, and it's going to be interesting to see how he gets his smarts back.
And what kind of hijinks he gets into while he is trying.
Yeah. And then we had it's funny, the gym storyline was completely separate from the rest of the episode.
Yeah, it felt like it felt like an art house movie, didn't it?
Yeah,
it felt like some kind of period piece set in 1950s Cuba, and it was some kind of doomed romance thing. I mean, it was really beautiful. The way it was filmed, the setting, the costume, the whole thing was just lovely. But you're right, it was so far removed from everything else that was happening.
Well, it's funny because evidently they were in Mexico or something. He kept talking about down south. But for some reason, the architecture felt like it was either Spain or Italy to me. I was having trouble getting my bearings geographically.
It's funny. You say Spain, Italy, I say Cuba. I guess it's just maybe that's what they were going for was generic down south, and your brain can fill in whatever location you want. But we get to meet Sophia, the Falcone daughter, who I am incredibly excited about what she's going to bring to the show. I think I mentioned last week how excited I was that Crystal Reed was going to be on the show. She was so good in Teen Wolf. I've missed her since she left the show, and I worried that her character might not live up to my hopes, but honestly, she plays Jim so beautifully. Getting him to relax and kick off his shoes and walk in the waves, and then bam, she's in Gotham and she wants to be his partner to take down Penguin. And I loved her sort of mission statement of, my dad didn't want me to come down here, you didn't want me to come down here, but nobody tells me what to do. I'm my own woman and I'm here and we're going to work together and you're going to love it. Yes.
Yeah. And she is smoking hot. I don't usually comment on those types of things, but she really knows how to fill out a dress.
Well, and it was fun for me because she played a teenage character in Teen Wolf, and here she is a grown woman, and she dresses like a grown woman, she carries herself like a grown woman, and yes, she is an attractive lady. So if she wants to keep wearing pretty things, especially since Babs has toned down the slink this season a little bit, yeah. So I'm pleased with that introduction. Oh, don't let me down, Gotham. Please keep writing her at that level. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's funny because Harvey just has one scene on the phone.
Yeah.
And then he comes in at the very end with a Detective Harper, who, it seems weird for him to introduce some random character at the end for no reason. So I wonder if Harper's supposed to be Jim's new partner.
Presumably that's a character that's going to get more play later on, although it is kind of strange. it seems like something you introduce her at the beginning of the next episode, so you get more payoff as opposed to just sort of a here's this person and now here's a million other plots that we are going to deal with. So
yeah. And it's interesting because Sophia Falcone, I mean, Crystal Reed does look a lot like Talia al Ghul, who I don't know if you know that in the comics. That's Ra's al Ghul's daughter. Who?
Well, I mean, I have seen Batman and Arrow. So
okay, yeah. Oh, that's right. But she and Batman have a thing, and like Damian Wayne, the current Robin, is their son.
Okay.
So I'm glad that Crystal Reed is not playing her because Talia is supposed to be about Bruce's age.
Oh, gotcha. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. But that was I
thought you were gonna say that she looks a lot like Lee, which I think is also. I don't know if Jim has a type now. his type is slinky brunettes. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still half expecting somehow he and Babs get together because they're supposed to have 2 kids.
Well, Babs came back a changed woman. Maybe she's a better partner for one future Commissioner Gordon.
Maybe, yeah. Because, that's the other thing. Like, Jim's got to grow the stash, and he's...
Hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag. He's got to hashtag grow the stash, and somewhere along the way, he's got to get married and have Barbara and James Jr. along the way. So, Gotham's got a lot of ground to cover.
And if the news that we're going to tell you about the ratings when we're done with this is any indication, it needs to hurry.
Yeah. We're getting ahead of ourselves. There's still one other storyline we have to go over.
Bratty billionaire Bruce.
Yes. Yeah. And this was something they always hinted at. They've been like, I remember like season 3. They were saying, oh, Bruce is gonna, be a little bit more of a playboy. He's gonna loosen up and be a little wild. And he never really did. There were like hints of it, but here he just finally let loose and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna spend $2 million on a knife.
Oh my god, that whole thing was so wonderful. And I love that it actually comes from a genuine exercising your ability place, in as much as Alfred says, try on a different mask. This is the mask you need to wear here. And so the mask he dons is super obnoxious. I mean, high five fratty. Oh, it was perfect. And, Alfred's like, yo man, pump the brakes. Why are you buying so many things? And Bruce comes back at him with, if I just buy the one thing, that's going to look real suspicious. So it was smart. It was a smart strategy. It was smartly done. I also loved the, Bruce going undercover to look at the ship manifest and adopting, like, he looked like an immigrant fresh off the boat on Ellis Island in 1900s New York. Hey, yeah, you got my uncle here. Oh, God, that's beautiful. Oh, I really enjoyed this episode.
I want to know his dialect coach for that scene. Because what's funny? If he lost the hat, he could almost pass for a Staten Island Goomba.
Do you think maybe he watched a lot of like Boardwalk Empire and just really went for it?
I mean, they're shooting on Staten Island, and he might have just slipped into a bar and chatted up with a couple of locals. Because it's all because
I would trust your ear on that, because you would be able to ferret out authenticity.
Yeah, because the Staten Island Italian accent, it's not that far off. It's just like it was just 2 octaves too much.
Okay, please do the rest of the podcast like that.
Why? You want this? You want this? I can do this if you want.
Like I mean, Phil.
That's half the people I work with. It's everyone I went to high school with.
Do you know how exotic that is, though, for me, from the flat, no affect Midwest? I'm jealous. That's so cool. We just drop our G's in gerunds. That's all we do.
Okay. So yeah, and
where were we? Okay.
Bruce,
the
Bruce,
auction.
Yeah, the auction, and that auction scene was great. And this is another one where, like, you'd think Penguin does sort of have a subplot because he's trying to hunt down Ed, and then he's kind of just the connective tissue between Bruce and Babs.
Yeah, Penguin didn't have as much to do this week.
Mm-hmm. But the Babs and Selina storyline, I think that's right. This episode kicks off pretty much with one of the first showdowns between Batman and Catwoman.
Okay, I don't buy for a second that Bruce doesn't recognize that is Selina walking across the asphalt to get to the ship. Wouldn't he know? Oh, I mean, how do I do this so I don't sound creepy? Like the sway of her hips and the.
I don't know.
It feels like he would be like, oh, that's Selina. They're buddies. He clearly looks at her in certain ways. So it just, to me, I thought, oh, Bruce knows exactly who that is. And then when he didn't, I was surprised. I thought maybe he was playing dumb to play that out. But no, he truly, genuinely didn't seem to know that was her for a while. Eventually, they figured it out.
Two things.
Yes.
One, it was dark. I mean, he did have the binoculars. He didn't see her for very long. And two, he doesn't want to believe that it's her. And I think that's the real
a nice
answer.
way of looking at that. Okay, all right. And the lighting is a good point. It had to be lit so we could see it, but obviously in the field it would be harder to tell. Fair enough. Yeah. All right, I'll buy it.
Yeah. And their rift, because Selina's trying to hunt down this knife to impress Babs, and and the rift between Bruce and Selina drift a little further apart this week.
I like how they're building that. They're not making it all happen overnight, but Bruce is trying to make that connection, and he's disappointed in what she's doing. I think they're placing those building blocks really carefully.
Mm-hmm.
I also really love that when she sneaks into Wayne Manor to steal the knife, Bruce is just sitting there waiting, and she's clearly so startled, and Bruce is startled that it's not Ra's al Ghul, and they both are just like, no, play it cool, be cool. Yeah, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just hanging out in the dark in my study like I do, like a man.
Yeah, and
can I say something about, while we're talking about Ra's? I felt like that was the best description I have gotten about Ra's al Ghul in any other piece of filmic properties. So I'm not a comic reader of Batman, but Ra's al Ghul appears on Arrow. He was in whichever Batman movie he was in. Sorry, thank you. But the introduction and the explanation and looking for the heir, and I felt like I hadn't gotten that before, and so I got to give Gotham a lot of credit. It was like, oh well, this, okay, so Arrow, okay, click into place. I don't know, well done, Gotham, for people like me who have seen that character, but that was a different kind of introduction, unless I'm misremembering something on Arrow. If it was in a flashback, chances are good I slept through it, so. Sorry, Arrow flashbacks.
Yeah, no, I think, no, that's spot on, and that is the most true representation of who he is in the comics. Cool. Batman Begins kind of glossed over it. They talked about how the League of Shadows, which they called in that movie, had been around for centuries, but they didn't connect the dots to say that Ra's had been in charge of it for that long. Because they didn't want to mention that he was an immortal, because that would just ruin the whole grounded reality angle that movie was going for. And it worked for that movie. And I mean, the Lazarus pits were an Arrow. But I don't think you really got an explanation for exactly how old Ra's was. And this episode, the very opening was Ra's origin scene, which was in Arabia in 125 AD. Looks like this was after some kind of like crusade. This horrible battle, and he's like just mangled up, and someone just picks him up, throws him in a Lazarus pit, and say, "Tag, you're it." Yeah, and I think it's interesting that, when Babs tells him that Bruce Wayne ended up with the knife, he's actually kind of excited.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get the sense that, that's the person he's supposed to tag next, or he thinks he's going to tag next.
Yeah, so that was very cool for me as someone who doesn't really have a great handle on that character because of my lack of comic knowledge, but I appreciated that introduction very much, and it just kind of deepens a character I've already been enjoying. Yeah. I also enjoy that apparently DC TV is the only place where you can do 2 weeks of intensive training and you're just a skilled hand-to-hand combat warrior. It happened with Laurel Lance on Arrow. It happened with Thea also on, actually, Arrow's a big offender on this. It happened with Babs. She comes back and she's like, she doesn't defeat Raish, but she gives him a pretty good run for his money. Maybe he was holding back though because of the kissing later on, maybe. But yeah, I just the training regimens are so advanced to get ladies up to speed in fighting on DC TV.
yeah. But I think that fight scene was really cool, and it was.
I loved it. No, that doesn't. I shouldn't. That made it sound like I was complaining. I loved the whole thing.
Yeah, and it was the kind of thing where like she didn't know who it was, and that's why she was just going on the offensive. And it felt like more like he was just trying to counter her, just to disable her until she could figure out it was him, or that he didn't want to harm her.
Well, and it does also, I think, give a little bit more evidence to. He brought her back, he trained her, and that's where this calm comes from. It seems like, you can picture the training where he's teaching her self-control and tapping into this stillness that it takes to succeed in whatever this endeavor is that he wants her to succeed in. So I appreciate that just adds one more layer to who is this new Babs and what is she doing. Although, can I bring in harsh real-world stuff for a second?
Go for it.
The gun shop scenes were far less fun this week for me. Just like, oh, really big guns, great.
Yeah.
So that just it took me out of the moment a little bit. I know, sorry.
No, and I think that was, it's weird because they had a different function this week, and it was more like Selena showing up, to tell Babs, I screwed up, and then
Babs asked her to mop the floor. You dare speak to Selena Kyle that way?
And what did Tabitha do anything this week? Was she?
No.
Okay.
Say this furthers my feelings on Tabs. No, she didn't.
Okay.
And Victor was very brief. I always appreciate my Victor sightings, as you know.
Yeah, but and it's that character. He wasn't in it for very long, but you noticed him anytime
totally.
he was on screen. He did take command. The fact that he's holding his own with Penguin, I think is very impressive.
So we also didn't see Ivy this week, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So she's probably sleeping off whatever DNA altering mystical chemicals.
Yeah. She's she's on ice. She'll be back in a couple of weeks, maybe even next week. We'll see. Anything more on Gotham before we go into the news?
If Ra's al Ghul wants a knife, you get Ra's al Ghul the knife. I just feel like you don't want to fail him in that. So awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess news.
Yeah. So.
And now we lower our voices in other news.
This is sad. Gotham Lights. If you listen to that show, which Sara was a guest host on this week.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. I listened to the episode. It was great. But they always talk about ratings on that show, and we haven't really gotten into that yet. Tracking daily numbers, but Screen Rant put out a story this week about how Gotham hit a series low for the last two episodes. And
a 0.8 rating and 2.8 million viewers, and they pointed out ratings typically drop off as seasons go on, so the premiere usually has a slightly higher number and then it dips from there, so that's not good. I was hoping that more people like me had found the show over the summer. It's streaming on Netflix. They heard good things about season 3, but if they did, that's not really reflecting in the numbers the way I would have liked.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It's gonna get it's going to get a 4th season because we have that syndication package, so you can get to that 88 episodes that'll have at the end of this season. But that does not bode well for a season 5.
And if that's the case, that makes me sad, but I want them to have advance notice so they can do what they want to do and they can wrap it up. And if that's a time jump, or if as you say, that's this version of Bruce, surrounded by bats for the first time or whatever it is, I just want them to be able to finish the story. That's anymore. If something is if I'm going to commit to something, I want it to get an ending, and shows have gotten a little better about doing that, but I'm still not over you're pushing daisies and things like that just ended and left us in the lurch. So if that happens, I hope there's enough notice that we get a satisfying ending.
I would say take the route that Hannibal took, which is another Brian Fuller show, that where it was the kind of thing where if the show was canceled at the end of the season, at least let that be satisfying. Well,
Oh, and it was satisfying.
Yes. yeah. So I hope they don't end this on if they don't think this season is going to be the end, they at least don't end it on a cliffhanger.
Don't be dicks and end it on a cliffhanger. Yeah. Just if you're not sure, give us a satisfying conclusion that could keep going if necessary.
Yeah,
it's not so much to ask.
Fox, give us a little bit of run. Give us that 10 episode runoff next summer.
And some channels have been doing that. Some networks have been good about saying, all right, you can have this many episodes to finish up. I think they're starting to understand the streaming and the catch up later culture, and that people are more likely to do it if they hear, oh yeah, there actually is a little 10 episode wrap up season that we're going to get. So hopefully we'll see.
Yeah.
Or more people could start watching. There could be a miracle. Come on.
And there was another thing on Gotham, right?
Just really quickly, Ben McKenzie, who plays Jim Gordon, who has yet to #grow the stash, wrote episode 4 of Gotham. So that will be premiering next week.
Next week, yeah.
And he talked about how fun it was to write all the kind of the rogues gallery, but he said the hardest character to write was his own character. So he really struggled with the Jim stuff, but he enjoyed the Penguin and the Riddler and this and that. So tune in to see what kind of auteur Ben McKenzie is. Yeah,
I mean, you hear about actors directing episodes on TV pretty frequently, but to have them with a screenwriting credit is interesting.
So, yeah. It does happen sometimes, but you're right. It's rare, so we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So I think that does it for Gotham.
Yeah, I think we transitioned into just news from here on out, right?
Yep. So all right. So let's start going on here. Let's start with So there was a big Berlantiverse story, right?
Are you talking about the commercial?
Yeah.
So, astute watchers know that all of the characters in the Berlantiverse love their Big Belly burgers, and so the studio gave us a beautiful commercial featuring the tagline, "When times are rough or times are swelly, go ahead and feed your belly." So, thank you forever for that.
Yes, yeah, and that is a throwback to the comics from at least when I was reading DC in the mid '90s. There was Big Belly burgers all around. So the only thing I'm waiting now for is soda cola. But I thought that news was funny.
Yeah, I love those.
And
all right, so then individual show news.
Yeah, let's start with Supergirl.
All right. I feel like I have a thank God for every single one of these. There's some piece of news that made me say, "Oh, thank God." And this week it was the fact that Maggie is leaving the show. The actress portraying her wanted to leave, and so they're officially going to write her out. But they have said they are not going to kill her off. Oh, thank God. Because that bury your gays trope where gay and lesbian characters get killed at far higher rates than straight characters when you look at proportions and percentages.
I remember, was it the 100 killed off a character?
I was going to say, the 100 killed off a lesbian character just after they got together and there was a love scene and then they kill her, and it was just the most classic bury your gay, you find happiness and now she's dead and now you're miserable, and it's just such crappy beaten down representation over and over and over like that really gets to, an audience that doesn't see themselves reflected a lot on TV. So the Sanvers relationship is so important to the fandom. So it's already sad that it's going to be ending, but I hope it's going to be done respectfully. And it sounds like if they're not going to kill her, at least they're aware of the huge outcry that happened after the 100. So I'm very pleased about that. And it says she'll be getting some good emotional stories before she leaves. Carlos Bernard has been cast as her father. He was Tony Almeida in 24. If you were a television without pity person back in the day, Soul Patch is going to be back on our TVs. So that should be really great. He's going to bring some emotional heft to the reason that she chooses to leave, whatever that may be. Let's see. And Odette Annabelle did an interview with EW.com and talked about playing her character Rain. She said it's really fun to play somebody who has a dual nature, who doesn't know her villainy, and so she has to play those two sides of it. And apparently she originally auditioned for Alex, but didn't get it, obviously. And Ed and I talked about this off air a little bit. She also said that she hasn't done any training for fights on the show. So she just hasn't done any special training, which surprised me, because usually if you're cast as a villain on a superhero show, you know, you're hitting the gym and you're getting ready to fight. So either that means she's not going to be a fighter, or she is just naturally that awesome.
Yeah. A couple things. Oh, just way back to Maggie. I just wanted to say that I think it's a shame that they get together at the end of last season, and then we almost immediately hear that she's not going to be back as a regular.
It is unfortunate. I think it's the actress's wish to leave, but I agree. You know, you finally get happiness and they get engaged and it's all great, and then immediately, like you say, it's that glass of cold water to the face. And
but also it does make sense, because everyone knows that Maggie Sawyer is meant to end up with Batwoman in the end.
As long as her happily ever after is like written in the stars, I'm okay with that.
And the other thing is with Rain to remember is, you know, that character is meant to be like a Supergirl corollary. It's sort of like another version of like Doomsday. So you know, maybe her action bits are a little bit more CG related, or just her using powers than necessarily hand-to-hand combat. So that may also be an explanation for why she's not getting.
That's a good point. Okay, I can see that.
And I think that's good. That covers Supergirl. All right, let's go to Flash.
Yes, the showrunner is promising that Flash season 2 is going to be lighter. Oh, thank God. It says Barry comes back and he's relieved of his guilt. He loves being the Flash again, which, man, that show lost its way last season, did it not?
Yeah. I had a huge fight with Bill Sweeney on the Wicked Theory podcast over this. It's legendary. Go look it up. But, you know, I have a tendency to defend these shows to the end. Also go see my fight with Uncle Jay last weekend.
That one was brutal.
Wicked Theory. Yeah. We'll talk about that off air. I think that's what this show needs. The thing I've always loved about this show is Barry's optimism. I think that's something that especially in superhero shows, I can't get enough of. You know, is characters who are confident in themselves and also, you know, have that hope and faith that the right choice and will make itself clear and that things will work out.
And it was always the counterpoint to Arrow, where that is not the case, where you have a torture broody hero and then you had Barry on the Flash, and it was such a great bouncy light companion to that, and then you lose that. But then you have Supergirl, who I think also is more optimistic, and that kind of vibe that she brings as well. So I understand, I guess, Flash and Supergirl both existing as let's focus on, I guess, the inherent goodness of and I think, you know, and I think that's a thing that runs through a lot of DC characters. Plus also, I think Flash is at a point right now that Arrow was in at the end of season 4, where I think that show, the Damien Dark storyline, it had kind of lost its way. You know, and I thought season 5 it recovered nicely. Took a little while, but it got there. I was gonna say back half of season 5 for sure. Front half was a little scattered, but no, I agree. So yeah, hopefully Flash can. It's a rebuilding.
Yeah, and there's also a bit of casting news that we cannot overlook. That may have been announced previously, but we both just discovered it this week.
Yeah, Gypsy's father has been cast, and it's going to be none other than Danny Trejo. Oh my God. Just the thought of him interacting with anybody in that cast. Yeah, if that's half as good as I think it's going to be really good.
I mean, you know, how often do you get to say your dad is Machete? That's going to be
not often enough.
That's going to be incredible. I mean, Machete Kills was not a great movie.
No.
And the tragedy of that is that we'll probably never get to see Machete Kills again in space.
But be honest, We would both watch that if it came
Yes.
out. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And he's a great actor. He's one of those character actors who has been in everything twice. And it's just the second he shows up on screen, you're home. You're like, it's gonna be okay.
Which of the Flash characters is going to be the most intimidated by him?
Oh, Cisco. It has to be Cisco. I mean, he's trying to date his daughter. I think there's a natural. Yeah. There's a natural conflict between them.
Yeah,
vibe,
right.
huh? Are you a good vibe, or are you giving me bad vibes right now? Yes.
I have to compliment you on your Danny Trejo impression. That was really good.
Well, thank you very much. Slipped into Antonio Banderas there, but Raider Nation. So that's the big news with Flash. Yeah, EW had a bunch of, I think all of the showrunners for Berlantiverse had interviews with EW.com, so that's why we were getting a lot of good news from them this week.
Yeah, I think Natalie Abrams sat down with all of them and just cranked out so many stories with so much good information. Oh, another piece of information from that same story is Harrison Wells. We are going to be back to the original Harry, the version from season 1. We're not going to get another new Harry, which I'm kind of disappointed. I liked seeing the alternate Earth Harrys, but it could get a little gimmicky. So,
wait, do you mean?
No, I'm sorry.
Earth 2?
I'm sorry. The current one now, the existing one, not the. I should be a little more careful.
Not Reverse Flash.
Correct. No, that would be a very different kind of feel to the season. No, I'm sorry. The only Harry left on the show is the one we are going to get. They're not going to introduce any new Harrys, and apparently he's going to be. It sounded like he's going to be kind of sort of an empty nester. You know, his daughter's off being Flash on Earth 3. Yeah. Thank you. Earth 3. And so he's kind of at loose ends, like what's he gonna do? So he's my least favorite of the Harrys, but that's okay. I trust Flash.
Yeah. And he'll work his way into it. You'll see.
I believe in Tom Cavanaugh.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
All right, so EW.com again writes that last season the team was chasing aberrations. This year the team is chasing anachronisms, which I think we've alluded to in the past, but this article really laid it out clearly that aberrations were things that shouldn't have happened. That was last season. And when Sara led the team to kind of stamp those out, they broke time, and so now they have to go back and correct these anachronisms, which is people who are where they should not be and when they should not be. So, for example, P.T. Barnum is going to be in episode 3 apparently, and I don't recall seeing what time period, but it is not his correct time period. So, Sarah's got a little bit of responsibility weighing on her because she feels like she let them break the laws of time travel, and now they have all the stuff to fix. So she's going to be shepherding the team through that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, the other example we heard is that Julius Caesar is going to be in modern day Aruba, and
sure, why not?
Yeah, that's where Mick meets up with him. I think it's an interesting bit of semantics, but I think it's an important one to define. This show, it's funny, like the missions for the team with each season of Legends of Tomorrow has been very, very clear. And it's nice to see that they're keeping up with that. And I'm just ready to get this started. Let's get this on the road.
Me too. Honestly, hey, which of the CW shows are you most looking forward to that premieres next week?
I go between, I don't know. I would probably say either Legends or Arrow. We'll get into that in a bit, but I know I'm going to be proven wrong, but I'm still hoping that everyone dies on that island.
And I'm in the same boat. Legends, I just love that conceit of fixing time. So I'm really looking forward to that. Plus, that same article I mentioned says that Ray, they're going to keep Ray as kind of a beacon of light this season, which I love my sunny, optimistic, goofy Ray. So the fact that they recognize that that's how he works best, I think it moves Legends up to the top of my list for anticipated premieres. I'm excited about all of them, of course, but does that transition us into Arrow?
Yes, I think it does.
All right. Who's going to be back in the crossover, Ed?
Ooh, Prometheus is going to be back.
But sadly not the Josh Segarra version, which is too bad because I really liked him as an actor, as a character, all of that. But it's going to be somebody different.
Yeah, not Adrian Chase.
Sad.
Yeah, not gonna be Adrian Chase, but it's sad. It's sad for a couple of reasons. One, that actor was really good. To me, this means that I don't know. To me, this hints that we might not be getting Prometheus. That we might just be getting that he might be showing up in like a hallucination or a flashback or something. But the other question is, who is going to be Prometheus? Could it be someone from the show? There were rumors that it was Quentin Lance, when he was blackout drunk.
Well, no, this is so. I thought this was Prometheus from Earth X that we were getting.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I had read. So, which is why it could have been Josh Segarra because it's. I mean, he could still be alive. Adrian Chase could still be alive on Earth X, just a Nazi, as you are.
Yeah.
Because that's was that this week that was released also that Earth X is just it's where the Nazis won World War II, so everybody's a Nazi.
Yeah. I don't know if well, I said that's what Earth X is in the comics, so I guess they're going with that.
So yes, they've announced that. So that's yeah. But anyway, it's not going to be him. So the mystery is who is Prometheus, who is Earth X Prometheus, and one of the guesses that I saw online was possibly Artemis.
Ooh.
Which if you think about it, on Arrow Earth, our Earth, she works closely with him. She has the duplicitous background, so that could be and gender swap is always kind of interesting. So we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. We do have a bit of a correction to make from last week.
Oh no.
That I did not notice until I was editing the episode. You said last week that you watched season 1 of Justice League. And you meant to say that you watched season 1 of Young Justice.
Yeah. And I was talking to my husband later and said something about Justice League, and he was like, you mean Young Justice, right? I was like, yeah, I think I said that right on air. Nope, apparently I did not.
It's okay. It's fine. You mentioned, it's funny, I didn't hear you say when you were talking about Artemis Betrayed. I didn't catch that until I was editing. I would have corrected you. I would have corrected you then, but I'm sure there are people who were screaming into their iPhones as they were hearing that. Just want to let you know. We know. Actually,
I'm from the future where there is a Justice League series, and it's great. No, I meant Young Justice, of which I have still not watched season 2. I need to get to that.
Yeah. So and that was So. Artemis. That's an interesting choice, though. I think that could fit. That could be interesting.
She's enough of a noticeable. She's an established character, but she wouldn't take away from one of the other alternate version heroes. So. You can't have Oliver Queen as Prometheus, obviously, on the Earth X version. So it's got to be somebody who's a little bit lower tier. Let's see other news. The love stuff, right?
Yeah.
Comicbook.com had an interview with Wendy Miracle, who says that in the crossover story, she said the real story behind the whole crossover, all 4 episodes, which is described as, in a lot of ways, like a movie, apparently, is going to be Oliver and true love. But they're being a little coy about who or what his true love is. So, either they think that we don't know that they're talking about Felicity, because there's been a lot of talk about, is it going to be a double wedding? Is there also going to be an Oliver Felicity wedding in the crossover? Which seems to be the case from what I've picked up. Or they're going to go completely left field and he's going to be paired up with Black Siren and the whole world is going to burn. Like the internet will melt down if that happened. Or his true love is not a person, it's justice, or it's his love for his son, or like whatever. I don't know. They talk about true love and they're so coy about it. Either they think they're dum-dums and we can't figure out that it's Felicity, or they're going to throw something at us that's completely unexpected. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
Every time this comes up, you sigh. Every time I talk about Felicity, it's the
Well, it's weird. I've talked about it. I think Ray was much better for her. And I understand the dynamic. I think it's interesting, but and I actually think I think that Oliver's soulmate was Sarah Lance. And that's who I think he should have ended up with. But I doubt that's going to happen since they're on different shows now. Maybe it's the Earth X Sarah. That's what I'll say for now.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Maybe it's someone from Earth X who's gonna jump over. Or maybe it's Mr. Terrific. Maybe it's Curtis.
Well, his marriage has hit a rocky patch. So
yeah. I think all options are on the table right now.
I also think Mark Guggenheim has said Felicity is it for Oliver. I swear he said that in some interview that's his true love. Mm-hmm. Now, if they get married, that doesn't necessarily mean that they stay married or that she stays alive. God forbid. I love Felicity, and I would hate to see that happen. But there's a lot of ways that could go. But for me, I liked him with Sarah Lance. I did. I thought they were a great couple. But those two, he and Felicity, those two actors, just their chemistry is fire. And I realize not everybody agrees with that. But for me, that's just putting aside all logic and who fits better with whom. Those two. Stephen Amell and Emily Bett Rickard just have incredible, insane chemistry. So
yeah,
that's why I'm all about it.
Yeah, and I think the fun stuff with them, like when she's on, and they're working together, it's great. I just keep getting annoyed, like every third episode, when she gets so upset and disappointed that he's lied to her again.
Well, and that's why if they could just get damn married and stay damn married, hopefully we can get past that and Oliver can lie to other people for a change. That's all I want.
That sounds like bad relationship advice. That sounds like the therapist who's talking to a couple and being like, guys,
you should have a baby.
Guys, just get married and have the baby, and then everything will be better. It'll all come into focus when that happens.
I'm coming at it from once they're married, he doesn't have to lie. I'm kind of coming from the perspective that the relationship will be cemented in such a way that he can be completely honest with her, is what I'm and not that
he's never had to lie.
Oh, damn it, Oliver.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's talk about this novel.
Okay. If they actually do get married this season, we're going to have to devote a whole sub episode just to that, so we can go back and forth on it. Okay, so this is kind of cool news. I hadn't seen news like this before about Arrow, but Screen Rant reported that a book is coming out that bridges seasons 5 and 6. It is called Arrow, Fatal Legacies, and it's subtitled Season 5.5. It will be out on January 30th. It is written by James R. Tuck, who's not an author I'm familiar with. Not like I have encyclopedic knowledge of all authors working in the fantasy, comic, and sci-fi genre, but still. But it's based on a story by Mark Guggenheim. So I thought that was kind of curious because from what I understand, we're going to pick up in Season 6 kind of in present day where the events of the island have already happened. So we're not going to see as much of the aftermath, I think. Or if we do, it's going to be flashbacky type stuff. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a lot of missing information that we need to fill in. So that's what that book is going to do.
That's cool. Yeah. You've seen with Flash and Arrow and I think Supergirl, there have been a lot of tie-in comic books. And I'm sure there must have been novels with these, but it's interesting to see one that's specifically bridging this one gap. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I see there's another EW article here. Is there anything else specific to that one, or is that just pretty much cover what we've already talked about?
I think that pretty much covers what we talked about.
Okay. So moving on to Black Lightning. Black Lightning music.
The Hollywood Reporter is reporting that Grammy Award-winning singer Jill Scott has been cast as Lady Eve from Cobra Cult.
Cool.
And I wanted you to make the noise you made when I told you that off air. Cobra Cult.
Cobra Cult. Yes. Yeah. Do you know what Cobra Cult is?
I do not. Educate me.
Okay. So they're this cult of evil supervillains in the DC universe.
Is it not literally a cult of cobras?
Well, they all dress like cobras.
Right.
The color scheme is green and gold. sort of like the Oakland A's baseball team's uniforms.
See, I would have gone Slytherin, but okay, continue.
Yeah. Sorry.
This identifies our two differences
Yeah.
as we approach these things.
Yeah, and they're a cult of evil supervillain villains that want to conquer the world. And Lady Eve is pretty high up on their ranks. So this is interesting that I think this is interesting because this is meant to be street level urban hero, and he's going against a character that traditionally has a global agenda. I think that's an interesting choice.
Well, and on a personal level, I saw Jill Scott in concert in the year 2000, and she was great. And so I feel a personal connection. So good for you, Jill Scott.
Good.
Keep on succeeding. My personal fanfic about this is that Cobra Cult is the modern day spinoff of the cult headed by, from Conan the Barbarian, the evil snake cult, headed by James Earl Jones. I'm assuming this is how it has evolved and made it into the 21st century.
Yeah.
The James Earl Jones snake people cult is operating as Cobra Cult with a K out of Jill Scott's funeral parlor, which apparently is what she's going to be doing in the show. So.
Cool.
There's your Conan the Barbarian mention for the week.
There you go.
Titan news.
Titans.
Titans.
Big Greg Berlanti set down a decree. I think this has been hinted at, but he officially said that Titans, when it streams on this DC Comics streaming service, will not take place in the Arrowverse. To which I say, for now.
Yeah. Until the ratings are bad.
Well, it's a streaming service, so you don't have to publish ratings.
Yeah.
But I think that would be very difficult, because that's the kind of thing, if you're going to do a crossover, I don't know if you can. I mean, I guess it depends on how they release it, whether it's weekly or if they drop them all at once. I think that's fine for now. I think also the fact that you have Nightwing in there, and Berlanti in general has tried to stay away from Batman, from characters directly connected to Batman. I mean, they've hinted in Supergirl a couple of times that Superman has worked with, a guy who likes to dress in black and work at night. But I think this is to be expected, but I would not be surprised if this changes in the future.
Well, and another suggestion is that if it's not connected to the Arrowverse, then will it have its own version of characters we're seeing? So are we going to have a Justice League, and this time I do mean Justice League, I mean the movie version of Flash, as well as a Berlantiverse Flash, and then will Titans have its own Flash? I mean, you could also see that, but that might be two Flashes too many for me.
Yeah, this is making my brain hurt already. I was already, how, I probably went into like a week-long depression when Zack Snyder finally, stated for definitively that the Berlantiverse and the DC Cinematic Universe were not directly connected, and that Grant Gustin would not be playing the Flash in the Justice League movie. I
like what I've seen of Ezra Miller so far in the previews, but you have such a good Barry in Grant Gustin. I was disappointed. I wouldn't say it was a week long, but it was maybe a 30-second. Oh, well, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Well,
what's for lunch?
Well, this is also just because Marvel is so integrated. And the lengths that they go to show the interconnectedness, even though their TV properties have drifted further away from the movies, but they still acknowledge each other. The fact that that DC decided that these are all going to be their own separate things, and there's no cohesion to it at all. It just, I don't know. It always feels like the wrong move to me. I might be in the minority about that, but.
Yeah, you can get Samuel L. Jackson on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the premiere, but you can't get Henry Cavill. Honestly, what is Henry Cavill doing that he can't film a 2-minute thing?
Yeah.
For one of them, the streaming service, which I think, frankly, is going to need help.
Yeah, I can see.
Because I don't know. Are you willing to pay for another streaming service?
Oh, for this I would. I mean,
Okay.
I still haven't plopped down the money for CBS All Access to start watching Star Trek Discovery, but that's really only because the Orville is on Fox right now.
It's filling that hole in your heart.
Yeah, and you know, from the one episode of Discovery I saw, Orville is much more satisfying to that itch.
Now, how many episodes did you see? Just the first hour of Star Trek?
Yeah, just the first hour.
Okay, at least watch the second hour before you decide. I've seen both, and the second hour takes it in an interesting direction that might change your mind about subscribing.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure it does. You know, it's also my sister's getting married this weekend.
Oh, so
and I'd like to
busy,
yeah,
family things and people you love and blah blah blah.
Yeah, and finding time and money. I'll get to it eventually, probably within the next week or two. There's also a bit of casting news on another bit of casting news on Titans.
Lindsay Gort has been cast as Robin's police partner.
Now, where do I know that name? Where do I know that name from?
You know, it's not a name that I immediately know. So yeah, I'm not sure who her people are.
Her name sounds familiar, though.
She was on the Carrie Diaries. Were you a big fan of the Carrie Diaries?
No, I know someone who was an extra in that because he had really long hair.
I will say, listeners of our show might recognize her. She was Candy Morningstar on Lucifer, on the Lucifer episode, wait for it, Candy Morningstar. So that was when he brought back the fake girlfriend and made Chloe crazy in season 2. And she was great on that. That was such a fun little role. And that was another one that I was sad was just a one-off, one-episode role. But that's where maybe lots of our listeners might recognize her from. Okay,
yeah. And she's playing Amy Rohrback, who is a Nightwing character from his solo series back in the 90s and early aughts. And she was Bloodhaven PD in that. It was kind of like his corollary to Commissioner Gordon.
Okay. Does she need to #grow the stash?
No.
Okay.
No.
I didn't know how much of a thing we wanted it to be.
No. Well, and we can't forget pointy beard. We can't forget.
That's right. We've been focusing on the stash at the exclusion of Oliver Queen's pointy beard. #pointy
yes. beard. Yeah. You know, so more news on this. I would like to hear what the name of this streaming service is going to be, and let's get a launch date. Let's fix those now, and then I'll make my decision. Is and how much am I going to have to pay a month for this?
That's true. Is it $5? Is it $15? Do you have a low introductory rate of 99 cents for the first 3 months, and then do they jack it up from there? Yeah, tell us. We just want to know.
Yeah. Also, I want to know the back catalog they're going to have in here, because there are a lot of shows that I kept, when I was doing retro picks over the summer, there were a lot of shows I was having to rent wholesale on Amazon Prime to watch episodes of, and if there was a streaming service that had every TV show ever based on a DC Comics character, like if I could watch the early 90s Swamp Thing, if I could get Superboy, if I could see some of those failed pilots, like there was an Aquaman pilot in the mid 80s. And there's an atrocious Wonder Woman pilot from the 60s, made by the same people who did the Adam West Batman show. Have you ever seen that?
No, I have not.
Oh, look it up.
Okay.
Anyone with a passing interest of feminism will be highly offended and very upset.
Oh, well, yes, by all means. My blood pressure was too low today, so
but I'll
give that a watch right away.
It is hysterical. It is tons of fun.
Could we also see the failed Wonder Woman pilot that, who was it? David E. Kelly tried to get off the ground?
Yeah, with Adrienne Palicki, who's on the Orville right now.
Yes, she is. She's far more covered up on the Orville than she was in the Wonder Woman costume.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting what if. That I'd like to see. One last bit of news here. We're coming into the home stretch.
Something I was not expecting to see cross my radar.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so this is another show that we have not talked about yet that we've just learned has come into existence. Maybe.
This looked like really maybe.
Yeah. So what do you tell me, Sarah? What do you know about the graphic novel V for Vendetta?
I know that it made a movie that I freaking love, and that it was written by Alan Moore, aka Rasputin. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I've not read it. That's one that's on my list because, as I've mentioned before, I like these comics that are discrete runs that I can pick up and read from start to finish. And that feels like one that I can just pick up the book and read it and not have to worry about, is this the 90s version? Is this after Crisis on Infinite? Or, I don't want to have to worry about, is it pre or post Crisis, basically. So someday I'm going to read this. So I too can be upset about what the movie did to it. But since I haven't done that, I loved the movie. And this news is really interesting to me because of that. Yeah. What is your experience with V for Vendetta?
Yeah, same here. I love the movie. I read the book once a really long time ago. But I think, Alan Moore always knocks the adaptations. I think this is probably pound for pound the best adaptation of an Alan Moore book.
Yeah, I was surprised to see this article mentions how poorly received the movie was, which was news to me. I thought people kind of liked the movie, but maybe I know if you read and loved the book, you're never going to be happy with changes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it had great box office. Because I think this was the first thing the Wachowskis did after Matrix. It was either that or Speed Racer. And so I think it didn't do well at the box office, but critically, I always thought it was well liked, and I love that movie. I think Hugo Weaving as V is incredible.
So good. I show it in class. Actually, I teach a class on media depictions in dystopian fiction, and that's one of it's the movie I show last because it ties together a lot of the ideas, a lot of the theories that we talk about, cultivation and fear appeal and framing and priming and things like that. So, I love it. I think it's really well done, and it's. Have you watched it? Not to get political, but have you watched it post 2016 election?
No, I have not, and I think that would be interesting to look back at. I mean, the basic premise for anyone who doesn't know is it's set in Britain in a dystopic future where England has become pretty much a totalitarian dictatorship.
But yet, it's really recognizably our society. The changes are small and incremental, and it's kind of like you throw a frog and you slowly turn up the water until it's boiling. It's like it's a couple degrees hotter than what we have, and it's just so well done and so subtly done. But again, I'm talking movie, not book, so continue.
Yeah, and and V is this mysterious figure who runs around in a Guy Fawkes mask as sort of like a terrorist, but basically trying to rile things up and get people to overthrow the government. I would
argue that he is a freedom fighter, not a terrorist.
Yeah.
Depends on what side of the government.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because he's not killing civilians. So it's just.
Well, anyway, it's set in the 80s, and it was a critique of Thatcherism. Actually, as was Watchmen, so I guess Moore had some things to say about Margaret Thatcher. Yeah. What's funny is the gig on Alan Moore is he writes these incredibly profound stories, but when you break them down into their individual parts, it's all the same story told a million different ways. And I remember in that movie John Hurt plays the Prime Minister. So good, especially because again, in that dystopian fiction class, we watch 1984, and then you watch V for Vendetta, and it's so funny to see John Hurt go from Winston in 1984, the victim, to basically Big Brother. So that's a cool bit of casting.
Yeah, and
anyway, we haven't really talked about the news.
Oh yeah. The news is V for Vendetta is rumored. Let's say that to be in development at Channel 4, which is a British TV station.
Which is, I think, good news because I think a TV show would be much better to flesh out the ideas, and I think I was going to say any fan of comics should be excited to know that you're going to get the TV treatment because you have more time to tease out all the different threads and characters. But then I think about what we talk about on Preacher versus Preacher, and maybe I shouldn't speak so quickly when those adaptations.
Yeah, but I think the spirit of this would be interesting, and I think it being a British show and not an American show is also a very good choice because it frees you up a little bit more.
Well, and will they keep it in the 80s or will they update it for now? V for Vendetta, the movie, was updated to near future times. Actually, though, I say that, was V set in the 80s, or was it just written in the 80s?
I think it was nondescript. I think because it was written in the 80s, it has a very 80s feel to it, but I don't think they ever specifically state what year the story takes place.
So will it be one of those like they do with Gotham where they keep the time intentionally a little blurry, or will they actually set it in our current or near future? That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, yeah, we'll keep track of that, and if that rumor to possibly maybe be having conversations about starting production becomes something more than that.
Yeah. And the thing I always joke about on Wicked Theory is in development means we had a meeting. So, don't be surprised if we don't hear anything about this for months, maybe even years. It might not ever happen, especially with Alan Moore involved. And, I'm sure the right and, DC Comics is the publishing rights, but I don't know where the creative rights lie.
Alan Moore already hates this adaptation. He's already put out a statement saying what an abomination this adaptation on Channel 4 is.
So I think that's good. I think now it's time to go back to the episode and decide who won the week.
Who won the week? And it's harder this time because we have not one but two shows.
Yes. So between Lucifer and Gotham, who won the week? This week, I'm going to say, weirdly shaped knives won the week.
We did see two really curvy knives on the two shows that we covered.
Yes.
Lucifer wanted to use Maze's knife to cut off his wings.
Mm-hmm. And
Raish just wanted his knife back.
Yeah, and that has kind of like a weird curve to it. And I think both of those were present and played important parts in each episode. So yeah, that's my pick. How about you, Sarah?
Boy, it's tough. You can't say Lucifer won the week because he really got his wings back, lost his demon face. Nobody won on that show in that episode, I don't think. So I'm gonna go back to Gotham, and I'm gonna pick somebody I've already picked, which feels like I should be branching out. But Bruce, man, Bruce learned to embrace that billionaire playboy and play with acting and costumes and accents, and I think it was a cool step on the road to becoming who he is destined to become, and I enjoyed the heck out of watching that. So I'm going young Bruce Wayne, bratty frat bro, auction loving, high-fiving billionaire won the week for me.
All right,
Bruce.
Cool. So those are your winners for the week, and I think that brings us to a close. Yeah. So that's the DC TV report for this week. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
I'm at Sara Netzley, SaraNetzley.
And you can follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. So I've been checking, and all we're getting is Twitter updates. So please throw in something. I don't know if we'll read the whole thing on there, but we will at least address your emails. I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice, and check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This is, also if you're on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, please rate us, write a review. That really helps other people find the show.
Slide us some stars.
Yeah, 5 stars. I always love it when people write scathing reviews and just curse at us and still give us 5 stars.
You can curse at us, just give us 5 stars while you're doing it. That's fine.
Yeah. That gives you the right to be mean to us. So this has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer Bill Sweeney. And be sure to visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam!